For the past several years, our culture has been in the middle of a profound shift. The topic of UFOs, or as the government now prefers, UAPs, unidentified anomalous phenomena, has moved from the supermarket tabloids to the front pages of the New York Times and the hearing rooms of the United States Congress. We've seen credible declassified videos from Navy pilots showing tic-tac objects that defy our known laws of physics. We've heard high-level intelligence officials testify, under oath, about secret government programs in possession of non-human biologics. This new conversation is intentionally sterile and scientific. It's a conversation about national security, advanced avionics, and material science. It is, by all accounts, a non-religious phenomenon. But there is another, far older, and far weirder side to the UFO story. A side that doesn't involve distant tic-tacs, but involves terrifying, intimate, and life-altering encounters. I'm talking about the alien abduction narrative. The story, standardized for decades, is chillingly specific. A person sees a light, experiences lost time. Later, under hypnosis or in nightmares, they recall being paralyzed, floating through their bedroom wall onto a cold metallic table. They are surrounded by small, gray, large-eyed beings. They are subjected to bizarre, often reproductive medical examinations, probed, tested, their eggs or sperm harvested. They are given cryptic, often apocalyptic messages about the environment or nuclear war, and then they are returned, left with strange scars and the earth-shattering trauma of their experience. This sounds like modern science fiction, but what if I told you this narrative isn't new? What if I told you that this exact story, this precise narrative structure, has been with humanity for centuries, just wearing a different costume? What if, in the 14th century, we didn't call the beings aliens, we called them demons? And what if, in the 17th century, we didn't call the ship a UFO, we called it fairy? Today, we are exploring one of the strangest and most profound parallels in paranormal history. Is the alien abduction phenomenon a new scientific reality? Or is it an ancient, terrifying, human experience that has simply rebranded itself for the space age? The UFO religion. How alien abductions replaced demonic possession. The old script, demons, fairies, and the night hag. Before the 20th century, if a person in the Western world claimed to have a terrifying, paralyzing experience in the dead of night, they didn't have a UFO to blame. They had two primary, culturally accepted explanations. 1. The demonic angelic script, medieval, early modern period. In the Christian worldview that dominated Europe for a millennium, the world was a spiritual battlefield. Humans were the prize in a war between God and the devil, and this war wasn't just abstract. It was physical. The most famous and terrifying accounts were of the incubus and succubus. These were demonic entities that would allegedly come to people in their beds at night, paralyzing them, a night terror, and then sexually assaulting them. The goal, according to theologians, was to torment the soul, or even to create a demonic human hybrid, a changeling. The experience was described with chilling consistency. A feeling of paralysis, a crushing weight on the chest, a sensed evil presence in the room, and often a violation. This was not a dream. For the person experiencing it, it was a hyper-real event. 2. The fae or fairy script, folkloric period. Running parallel to the demonic script, especially in rural areas like Ireland, Scotland, and Scandinavia, was the belief in the fae, or the good neighbors, and they were not the tiny glittering pixies of Disney. Fae were powerful, amoral, and dangerous. They were known for abducting humans. The changeling myth is the most famous. Fairies would allegedly steal a healthy, beautiful human baby from its cradle and leave in its place a sickly, strange, non-human fairy baby. Adults, too, could be taken or spirited away to the land of faerie. a parallel realm where time moved differently. A person might return hours later, but years had passed, or vice versa, the lost time phenomenon. They would be forced to participate in strange ceremonies, and sometimes, like with the incubus, would have sexual encounters with them. Notice the key elements of these pre-modern encounters. An uninvited visitation, a feeling of paralysis, being taken against one's will to another realm, lost time, strange, often reproductive procedures, and the creation of hybrid children. This was the cultural script for a terrifying, anomalous experience for over 1,500 years. And then we entered the 20th century, the hinge, 1961, and the birth of the modern script. The demonic phi script began to lose its power in an age of science, industrialization, and secularism. We stopped believing in demons on our chest. But the experience, it seems, didn't stop. It just needed a new explanation. That new explanation came from the sky. In 1947, Kenneth Arnold's flying saucer sighting and the Roswell incident kicked off the modern UFO craze. The public imagination was primed with a new, technological, scientific other. The Big Bang that fused this new UFO anxiety with the old abduction terror happened in 1961. The case was that of Betty and Barney Hill. The Hills were an interracial couple driving late at night through the White Mountains of New Hampshire. They saw a strange, bright light in the sky that seemed to follow them. They arrived home in a state of confusion, several hours later than they should have been, with their clothes torn, the car scuffed, and a profound sense of lost time. They had no memory of what happened in those missing hours. Plagued by nightmares, Betty, a social worker, began reading books on UFOs and became convinced they had been captured. Barney, a skeptic, was more resistant, but the anxiety and trauma were real. They eventually sought help from a Boston psychiatrist, Dr. Benjamin Simon, who placed them under hypnotic regression. And under hypnosis, the full, terrifying, and archetypal story emerged. They were paralyzed by a strange sound. They were floated out of their car and onto a spaceship. They were met by small, gray, humanoid beings with large, wrapping, black eyes, the Greys. They were separated and subjected to cold, scientific medical examinations. Barney was terrified as they took sperm samples. Betty had a long needle inserted into her navel, a procedure she later linked to a pregnancy test. Betty was shown a star map by the leader, who explained where they were from, the Zeta Reticuli system, as it was later interpreted. They were then returned to their car with their memories wiped. This story leaked to the press and later becoming a best-selling book, The Interrupted Journey, and a major TV movie, created the new American script. It was a work of cultural genius. It took the ancient, terrifying components of the fairy demon myth and rebranded them for the space age. The demon, or fairy, became the gray alien. The magic or spell became advanced technology, tractor beams, paralysis rays. Fairy or hell became the spaceship. The changeling or hybrid child became the alien-human hybrid breeding program. The divine demonic warning about sin became the alien warning about nuclear war and the environment. The experience was the same. The costume was new. The uncanny parallels, the core evidence. After the Hill case, abduction reports exploded across America, peaking in the 1980s with figures like Bud Hopkins and Whitley Strieber, author of Communion. And what's astonishing is how closely these new accounts, from thousands of unrelated people, stuck to the Hill script, which itself stuck to the old script. Let's look at the parallels directly. The narrative structure is almost identical. The primary difference is that one is framed in the language of religion and folklore, and the other is framed in the language of science fiction and technology. The how? The psychological and sociological explanations. This structural similarity is too perfect to be a coincidence. It demands an explanation. Theory 1. The core experience. Sleep paralysis, the most powerful and scientifically accepted explanation for the core sensation of these visitations is sleep paralysis. Sleep paralysis is a real, well-documented, and utterly terrifying biological event. It occurs during the transition between sleep and waking. Your conscious mind wakes up, but your body is still in the state of REM atonia, the muscle paralysis that keeps you from acting out your dreams. For a few seconds to a few minutes, you are awake, conscious, but completely unable to move. This state is almost always accompanied by a sensed presence, an overwhelming, vivid feeling that there is someone or something evil in the room with you. Hypnagogic, hypnopompic hallucinations. Your dreaming brain, M state, is still active, projecting hallucinations onto your real-world surroundings. You don't just dream of a demon. You see it standing in the corner of your actual bedroom. Chest pressure. A feeling of crushing weight or suffocation, the hag on your chest. This one physiological event, sleep paralysis, is a cross-cultural universal. It explains the paralysis, the presence, and the terror. But it doesn't explain the story. Theory 2. The cultural script, the main thesis. This is where sociology and history come in. The brain hates a vacuum. It must interpret this raw, terrifying, neurological event, sleep paralysis, and weave it into a narrative that makes sense. And that narrative is provided by your culture. In 14th century Italy, your cultural script was demons and incubi. When you experienced sleep paralysis, your brain interpreted the presence as a demon, the crushing weight as the hag, and the hallucinations as a vision of hell. In 19th century Newfoundland, your cultural script was the old hag herself, a witch who came to ride you. In 1980s America, your cultural script was not demons. It was the cover of a Whitley Strieber book. It was the story of the hills. Your brain interpreted the exact same physiological event as gray, aliens paralyzing you with a beam and floating you onto a ship. The experience, paralysis, presence, hallucination, is a universal biological bug. The story, demon, fairy, alien, is the cultural software you use to explain it. Theory 3. The psychosocial hypothesis, the middle way. There is a third, more complex theory, famously championed by UFO researchers like Jacques Vallée. Vallée, the inspiration for the French scientist in Close Encounters, argued that both the skeptics and the literalists were wrong. He argued the UFO phenomenon is not nuts and bolts spaceships from Zeta Reticuli, but it's also not just in our heads. He proposed that it is a real, non-human phenomenon, perhaps interdimensional, perhaps a part of consciousness itself that acts as a control system for human cultural development. It is a trickster phenomenon. It manifests to us, he argued, in whatever form our culture is prepared to accept. In the age of faith, it showed itself as angels and demons. In the age of folklore, as fairies and goblins. In the age of technology, as aliens and spaceships. In this view, the experience is real, and the source is external, but the costume is always provided by us. Conclusion, the final debate, what's in the bedroom? So we are left with a fascinating historical pattern. A modern sci-fi experience, alien abduction, has an identical, detailed narrative structure to an ancient religious or folkloric experience, demonic phi visitation. This parallel demands a choice, and this is the final debate I leave with you. We have three competing explanations. 1. The skeptical psychological view. Are both of these experiences, the ancient and the modern, simply human-generated? Are they powerful, terrifying, but ultimately internal hallucinations, most likely triggered by the common biological event of sleep paralysis? Is this just a fascinating look at how the human mind, in its desperate need for a narrative, dresses up, A neurological glitch in the dominant cultural costume of the day. Demons then, aliens now? 2. The separate phenomena view, the literal view. Is this parallel just a coincidence, or perhaps demonic mimicry? Is it that demons are real and did and do attack people ... and aliens are also real and are abducting people? Are they two distinct, real phenomena that just happen to share some similarities? 3. The valley, metaphysical view, the third thing. Or is it the most mind-bending option? Are both experiences the incubus on the chest and the gray alien by the bed visitations from the same real, non-human third thing? A phenomenon that is neither demon nor alien, but a persistent trickster intelligence that simply presents itself to humanity through a cultural filter, wearing whatever mask our current worldview will allow us to see? What do you think is the phenomenon? Is it all in our heads? Are they two different things? Or is it one single strange reality just changing its mask? Let me know your thoughts respectfully in the comments below. If you found this deep dive into one of the strangest intersections of religion, folklore, and science fiction fascinating, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content that uncovers the hidden stories and complex evolutions of faith. Thanks for watching.